You may have noticed in our recent live streamed and videoed masses, both daily mass and the Sunday mass that we've put out from St. Maria Goretti, that after the priest and deacon receive Holy Communion, we pray together a little prayer. Now this prayer is called a prayer of spiritual communion. And we're actually praying it not for ourselves, but for all of you to pray along with, in order that all of you can make a spiritual communion while watching the Mass take place via video. Now, what is a spiritual communion? A spiritual communion is a prayer by which you express to Jesus your desire to receive Him in the Holy Eucharist, though you are currently unable to do so. Now, when should one pray a prayer of spiritual communion? Well, of course, right now is a very good time to do so when all of us are deprived from gathering together here at the Holy Mass. But not only in a time like this is it appropriate to pray a prayer of spiritual communion. In fact, the Church doesn't require us to receive Holy Communion each time we come and attend the Holy Mass. Now, a person might decide not to receive Holy Communion for a variety of reasons. It could be that they broke the fast and ate some food immediately before Mass and therefore didn't keep the 1 hour fast before receiving Holy Communion, and in which case that person could pray a prayer of spiritual communion rather than actually receiving the Eucharist physically. Or a person might feel like, I've been really distracted and not really praying along with the Mass today, and I just don't feel adequately prepared to welcome the living God into my body through the Eucharist. And in that case, perhaps that person might pray a prayer of spiritual communion. Or if a person is in a state of mortal sin and hasn't gone to confession before receiving Holy Communion, that person would need to go to confession. And so in that moment, and when they're attending Mass, they could pray a prayer of spiritual communion. Now we know that Jesus desires for us to eat and drink His flesh in the Eucharist. But the Church actually teaches that we're only required to receive the Eucharist one time a year during the Easter season. Perhaps some of you remember being taught this as school children when it was called the Easter duty. It's the duty of all Christians, says the Church, to receive Holy Communion at and during the Easter season. But in this time when we are unable to come to the Mass and receive Holy Communion, there could be no more beautiful prayer to pray than this prayer of spiritual communion. In doing so, you're expressing to Jesus your desire to receive Him into your heart, that His grace would permeate your life, that you would be incorporated spiritually into His body, despite not being able to come to the Mass and to receive Holy Communion. And in doing so, we are in communion with God through communion with Christ and also communion with each other, because as a church, we make up together the many parts of the one true body with Jesus Christ as its head. God bless you.